It's midnight and you're watching Nightline with me, Liyana Hassanel. The headlines. No leak of confidential information from hacked Immigration Department website. And over 12,000 contract doctors to be made permanent within 3 years. Good morning. The Immigration Department has assured Malaysians that no confidential information from the department's website was compromised following a 2 a.m. cyber attack on its website. Director General Datuk Roslin Jusoh in a statement confirmed that no data was compromised after the Immigration Department's official website had been hacked by a group that called themselves Captain Smoker. Datuk Roslin said the hackers launched a cyber attack in the form of defacement, which resulted in the change of the department's landing page. However, the links relevant for the department's services, such as My IMMS, SSPI, and others, were not affected. He said the website is now fully accessible to the public after the department had taken immediate remedial and preventive measures by shutting down public access to the website in order to repair the damage and ensure security. Datuk Roslin explained there was no information leak and advised the public not to jump to conclusions or make assumptions and speculations that may cause unnecessary confusion to the public. The government is committed to absorbing 12,800 contract doctors into permanent positions within the next 3 years as part of its commitment towards solving the long-standing issues faced by the group. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the government is taking into account the financial implications involved and is looking to solve the issues in stages. Datuk Seri Anwar told the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday that nearly 4,300 contract doctors will be offered permanent appointments this year alone at a cost of about 1.7 billion ringgit.
Saya harap dapat dimengerti tidak ada sama sekali niat kita untuk meremehkan kerana doktor-doktor kontrak ini berkhidmat dengan baik, berkorban masa, waktu, tenaga dan memang negara memerlukan. Cuma untuk tahun ini kita tambah 1.7 bilion dan dari tambahan 3 bilion ringgit ini bagi saya ini maksima yang kita dapat lakukan.
He also said on-call allowances will be extended to medical officers who are on duty at 6 public health clinics, which have extended operating hours as part of a project to reduce overcrowding. He said the payment would also include weekends.
Saya juga telah arahkan JPA dan Kementerian Kewangan mengkaji agar kemudahan ini dipanjangkan kepada semua selain pegawai perubatan.
Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also the finance minister, said the current on-call allowances for the contract doctors was appropriate with the rate of working hours compared with the overtime allowances received in other services. Meanwhile, Public Health Organisation Malaysia advisor Datuk Dr. Zainal Arifin Omar said the 3-year period needed to resolve the contract doctor issue is considered as reasonable.
Saya rasa itu satu penyelesaian jangka pendek yang baiklah, yang tepatnya. Kita kena ingat bahawa kerajaan memerlukan satu sumber untuk mengambil pejawatan tetap, dan bilangan yang ada sekarang ni agak ramai, lebih daripada 12,000. Jadi secara berfasa dan keadaan saya rasa itu tidaklah terlalu panjang kerana dalam masa tempoh 3 tahun ni kita dapat selesaikan, insyaAllah.
On the additional allowance, which will be extended to medical officers at health clinics and emergency departments, Datuk Dr. Zainal Arifin said the matter needs to be clarified in detail.
Kalau boleh kita mahu bahawa satu peraturan diselaraskan untuk semua tempat-tempat atau lokasi yang perlukan overtime tersebut, dan seperti biasa kita bahagikan mengikut jawatan, kemudian mengikut grade. Kerana ini berbeza, kerana misalnya kalau jawatan itu lain, kerja dia lain, dan kalau grade jawatan itu lain, kerja juga lain, misalnya antara doktor biasa dan doktor pakar. Jadi dia punya allowance itu berbeza kerana skop kerja dia berbeza.
Earlier, speaking at the Finance Ministry's monthly gathering, Datuk Sri Anwar has instructed all ministries and departments to get ready with the infrastructure and human resources skills to receive increasing foreign investments into the country. The Prime Minister said it would be a waste of the government's efforts if Malaysians themselves do not take advantage of the opportunities available.
Bila saya lihat umpamanya keperluan mereka, nampak tahap kemahiran kepakaran tertinggi itu tidak terdapat, ada, bukan maksudnya tidak terdapat, sedikit sekali keupayaan daripada anak kita. Jadi kita terpaksa kenal pasti ya program ini, dan sebab itulah Kementerian Kewangan harus bantu menyelaraskan, mengetahui apa bidang yang kurang, dan kalau perlu kita ada peruntukan khas tambahan untuk memberi latihan intensif.
Datuk Sri Anwar said the investment of 25.5 billion ringgit by Amazon Web Services and 170 billion ringgit by China in Malaysia has a snowball effect, with many countries showing interest in investing in Malaysia. He added that investment in Malaysia is increasing due to the stable political system and clear government policies, as well as efforts made by government officers in attracting foreign investments. Meanwhile, during question time in the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday, Datuk Sri Anwar stressed that there is no reason for a country like Malaysia to continue depending on the US dollar, while noting that the economies of many Asian countries are now in a much stronger position. In fact, the Prime Minister himself had made an open proposal for the idea of an Asian Monetary Fund, AMF, to be revisited during the BOAO Forum in Hainan, in order to reduce reliance on the US dollar or International Monetary Fund, IMF, for which China has given its commitment to take up the proposal. The Prime Minister said Chinese President Xi Jinping affirmed this personally to him during his recent historic visit to China.
Saya lontarkan itu, saya tertarik sebab bila ada pertemuan dengan Presiden Xi Jinping, dia terus sebut, dia kata saya rujuk cadangan Anwar mengenai Asian Financial Monetary Fund, dan dia akan sambut untuk membincangkan cadangan tentang tabung kewangan. Benar, tak ada sebab mengapa negara seperti Malaysia terus bergantung kepada dolar.
In another development, Datuk Sri Anwar stressed that Petronas will continue with its exploration project in the South China Sea, even though there are overlapping claims for the area with China. He said this was because Malaysia considered the area where the exploration project was being carried out in the country's territorial waters, and Malaysia's stance had been conveyed to Chinese President Xi Jinping and his counterpart Li Qiang during his official visit to the Republic recently.
Walau bagaimanapun, kalau negara China merasakan ini hak mereka, kita boleh buka untuk rundingan. Tetapi sementara itu, usaha kita untuk cari gali akan kita teruskan. Saya tidak mahu mengelak daripada meneruskan rundingan kerana ini pendirian ASEAN.
Later in the day, the Prime Minister broke fast with about 1,200 fishermen, farmers and breeders at Sri Perdana. Also present were his wife, Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, as well as Agriculture and Food Security Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Sabu. The event, organised by the Ministry of Rural and Regional Development and the Agriculture and Food Security Ministry, was also attended by 14 orphans, each from Rumah Bakti Al-Kausar and Rumah Cahaya Kasih. Also present were 13 orphans from Rancangan Sungai Behrang, Felda Trola, Rancangan Sungai Tengi, Rancangan Sungai Tengi Selatan, and Rancangan Gedangsa. Datuk Sri Anwar also spent some time mingling with the participants and orphans, as well as staff of the two ministries, before performing congregational Maghrib, Isha, and Tarawih prayers. The 2022 to 2030 National Strategic Plan to combat the double burden of malnutrition among children in Malaysia will focus on strengthening the governance of nutritional well-being through legislation, political commitment, and stakeholders. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said this was among the 5 cores under the plan, which were discussed and refined in the meeting of the Special Committee to combat the double burden of malnutrition among children, which he chaired on Tuesday. The meeting was held to focus on the aspect of balanced nutrition for the young and youth, who will be the driver of the country's development in the future. In a statement following the meeting, he said another strategy is improving the quality and access of nutrition services to combat the problem of the double burden of children malnutrition, strengthening the environment, and a society conducive to improve the well-being of children's nutrition. Another core is empowering the development of capacity and human capital towards the well-being of children's nutrition, as well as the synergy of child nutrition advocacy. He said the plan targeted the impact on children under 18 involving individuals, families, and communities, including vulnerable groups, as an effort to prevent and control the problem from continuing to worsen, thus reducing the government's burden of bearing the cost of treatment. Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid said the committee will meet twice a year to ensure that the allocations provided have a positive impact on children's nutritional status, namely stunting and obesity, and will emphasize 5 areas.
The Mental Health Bracket Amendment Bill 2023 was tabled for its first reading in the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday. The bill, among others, allows crisis intervention officers to apprehend any person who attempts to commit suicide.
The bill to amend the Mental Health Act 2001, Act 615, was tabled by Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Sri Azalina Othman Syed. Through the bill, crisis intervention officers may also apprehend any person whom they have reason to believe is mentally disordered and can pose a danger to themselves, other persons, or property. In addition, the crisis intervention officer may, when exercising the power under subsection 2, break open any outer or inner door or window of any premises and enter into or otherwise forcibly enter the premises and any part of the premises or remove by force any obstruction to such entry. The bill also states that the crisis intervention officer who has apprehended the person under subsection 1 shall, as soon as practicable, but not later than 24 hours after the apprehension, bring the person to a medical officer in a government psychiatric hospital or a registered medical practitioner in a gazetted private psychiatric hospital for examination. The crisis intervention officers mentioned include police officers, social welfare department officers, and members of the Malaysian Civil Defence Force.
Screenings conducted on 1.3 million secondary school students through the Oral Health Tobacco-Free program last year found that a total of 43,019 students were involved in the smoking habit. Deputy Health Minister Lukanisman Awang Sauni told the Dewan Negara that during the same period, screenings conducted on 2 million primary school pupils found 341 were also into the habit.
Murid yang dikenal pasti merokok diberikan intervensi berhenti merokok, manakala murid yang tidak merokok akan diberikan pendidikan kesihatan berterusan bagi memastikan mereka kekal tidak merokok.
Lukanisman said this in his reply to a question from Senator N. Balasubramaniam, who wanted to know the latest developments by the Health Ministry with regards to the anti-smoking generational end game 18 plan, Gegar 18, and how successful it had been. He also said that the ministry would continue to strengthen and expand the Gegar 18 program, which aims to provide legal knowledge and continuous education to create a smoke-free environment. He added that the campaign was also organized at 9 higher learning institutions in collaboration with the Volunteer Foundation and the Higher Education Ministry. The MOH would also be extending the Gegar 18 campaign to youths who are not at any higher learning institutions through the Malaysian Youth Council and other related organizations.
One dead, dozens injured after train derails in Netherlands. News from the foreign front when Nightline returns. Welcome back to Nightline. Pakistan's Supreme Court has declared the country's poll panel's decision to delay the assembly elections in 2 provinces as unconstitutional, ordering the government to hold snap polls in the most populous province of Punjab on May 14th. The court's verdict followed a petition filed by the main opposition Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI party, led by former Prime Minister Imran Khan. PTI had challenged the Election Commission of Pakistan's ECP decision to delay the Punjab polls from April 30th to October 8th, after the government refused to give funds to conduct the exercise, citing the economic crisis. The party in January decided to dissolve the Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa provincial assemblies it controlled in a bid to force early national elections, a demand Khan has been making since he was removed from power a year ago. Meanwhile, in the Netherlands, at least 1 person was killed and 30 injured when a passenger train carrying about 50 people derailed after hitting construction equipment on the track. The accident took place at 3:30 a.m. local time in the village of Voorschoten, about 55 kilometers south of Amsterdam. The train driver missed a warning signal in a thick fog, and the 2 trains hit head-on. The front carriage of the night train derailed and plowed into a field after the accident, leaving the second carriage on its side as a fire broke out in the rear carriage. The fire was later extinguished. Investigations are ongoing as there are conflicting reports about the cause of the accident. In Bangladesh, hundreds of firefighters have been mobilized in Dhaka to battle a huge fire that raged through a popular clothing market and blanketed the city's oldest neighborhoods in black smoke. The fire started at Banga Bazar Market in Dhaka at 6:10 a.m. local time but no casualties have been reported. Some 600 firefighters from 47 units and an Air Force helicopter were called onto the scene as the fire continued to flare out of control. Fire officials said the 3,000 shops located in the Bonga Bazar Market, as well as 3 adjacent commercial precincts, had been completely gutted. Distraught shop owners said the blaze had left them destitute ahead of Eid al-Fitr. Investigations into the cause of the fire are ongoing. Over in India, an avalanche in the northeastern state of Sikkim has killed at least 6 people, injured 30, and trapped dozens others. Authorities said all 6 of those killed on Tuesday were tourists, and at least 70 people are feared to be trapped in the snow when the incident took place along the Nathula Pass, a popular tourist spot bordering China. Survivors were pulled from the snow and taken to hospital for treatment, and rescue operations were underway in the area. The ecologically sensitive Himalayan region, which has been severely affected by global warming, is prone to avalanches. Last year, 27 trainee mountaineers were killed in an avalanche in the northern region of Uttarakhand. Sports football, the 2023 Super League. 3 matches were played on Tuesday night. Selangor FC had to wait till the last minute to claim a 2-1 victory over Negeri Sembilan FC, while Terengganu FC recorded a convincing 5-0 win over Kelantan FC. And Ipoh hosts Perak suffered another defeat, this time 5-0 to Johor Darul Takzim. An own goal from Hassanel, a brace from Leandro Velasquez, and a goal each from Diogo and Bergson de Silva gave JDT their 7th win in as many matches. On to boxing. Retired British boxer Amir Khan was banned from all sports for 2 years on Tuesday after testing positive for a prohibited substance following what proved to be the last fight of his career. According to UK anti-doping, Khan, a former light welterweight world champion and Olympic silver medalist, returned a positive result for anabolic agent Ostrine after his loss to Kell Brook in Manchester in February 2022. Ostrine is a selective androgen receptor modulator that can help muscle growth and is designed to have similar effects to testosterone. Khan, who announced his retirement 3 months after the fight, accepted a violation of anti-doping rules, but said he had not intentionally ingested the substance. That was accepted by an independent panel following a hearing in January. His ban will expire on April 5, 2024. Over 5 million ringgit worth of drugs seized in Perak. This and more after this break. In Perak, 3 Vietnamese women were among 4 people arrested by police in connection with the seizure of drugs worth 5.5 million ringgit in 2 separate raids in Pantai Remis near Manjung last Saturday. State Police Chief Datuk Sri Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri said the suspects, aged between 32 and 39, were arrested at a rented house at 7 a.m.
In the raid, police found 245 ecstasy pills weighing 100 grams and about 1.27 grams of ecstasy powder, worth 95,043 ringgit in the rented house. The raid led police to another house where they seized a large amount of drugs, including 11,838 ecstasy pills weighing 5.59 kilograms, ecstasy powder weighing 38.3 kilograms, and ecstasy liquid weighing about 31.3 kilograms, marijuana, and crystals suspected to be methamphetamine. The total value of the seized drugs was worth about 5.4 million ringgit. Police also confiscated 3 vehicles as well as a chain and a ring, with a total estimated value of 763,693 ringgit during the raid. All the suspects tested positive for amphetamine-type drugs, and one had a criminal record of 9 cases. According to police, the syndicate was believed to have been active since last year. They were remanded for a week for further investigation under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952.
In Sabah, an army pensioner was charged at the Kota Kinabalu Sessions Court on Tuesday for receiving 15,000 ringgit bribes to issue an offer letter for cleaning works. 62-year-old Azman Arifin, however, claimed trial after the charge was read out to him before Judge Jason Juga, who then fixed May 23rd for mention of the case. Azman, as an officer attached to the 5th Infantry Brigade, Lok Kawi, was allegedly to have received the bribe as an inducement to issue the offer letter for cleaning works at the 5th Brigade camp. The offence was allegedly committed in August 2014 at the main gate of Surya Sabah Shopping Mall. The charge under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Act 2009 carries a maximum jail term of 20 years and a fine of not less than 5 times the amount of the bribe received or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher upon conviction. The accused was released on bail of 20,000 ringgit with 2,000 ringgit to be deposited in court with one local surety. The court also ordered his international passport to be surrendered to the court with the liberty to apply for a temporary return in the event that he needed to travel. In Pulau Pinang, a man died after the car he was driving hit the back of a lorry in an accident at kilometer 1.5 of Tun Dr. Lim Chong Yu Expressway on Tuesday. In the 4:19 a.m. incident, 44-year-old S. Vitra Stephen died at the scene after he was pinned to the driver's seat. Jalan Perak Fire and Rescue Station Operations Officer Isra Hanafi Ismail said rescuers were immediately dispatched to the scene when alerted of the incident. Upon arrival, the rescuers sized up the situation and immediately removed the trapped victim using special equipment. The driver was extricated from the wrecked car 20 minutes later. However, he was pronounced dead by the medical team. The body of the victim was taken to Pulau Pinang Hospital for an autopsy. The probe is being conducted under the Road Transport Act 1987. That concludes Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, let's take a look as Colombian artist Edison Camacho recycles tires of different sizes and shapes, transforming them into sculptures that he exhibits at the Tire Museum in San Francisco de Sales, Colombia. I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for tuning in. And to our Muslim viewers, Selamat Bersahur.